Kazakhstan has rich and unique nature reserves and national parks, which today can be truly considered as the country's landmarks. We have managed to preserve the true beauty of this wild, pristine nature. Today, the most picturesque corners of our country are under special control. National parks, game reserves, and sanctuaries ensure their preservation. The areas under special control can be found in every region of the country. They include all types of landscapes. Most of the protected areas are near the largest city of the country, Almaty. In this area, there are 5 national parks, 7 game reserves, and 2 wildlife sanctuaries. The Almaty State Nature Reserve was established back in 1931. Currently, it covers a territory of over 71,000 hectares of the central part of the Transilya-Altai and is located within the elevation range of 1,200 to 5,017 meters above sea level. The main goals and tasks of the Almaty Nature Reserve is to protect and study the unique natural system, popularize ideas on natural protection, as well as organization of excursions and educational events. In order to find out more about the history, geography, flora, and fauna of the nature reserve, you have to first visit the Museum of Nature that has been operating since 1967. The museum halls have collections of various exhibits which tell about the life of the nature reserve. The first hall consists of 2 sections that are united into 2 exhibitions, the desert and mountain landscapes. Each exhibit unveils the animal and plant worlds of the local biotopes. Special attention is paid to the animals included into the list of endangered species. The second hall has a composite picture titled Wild Plants of the Almaty Nature Reserve. The walls are decorated with exhibits Birds of Our Region and Plant World. Scientific collections of insects, mushrooms, mosses, lichen, and bird nests are displayed behind glass windows. Also, the museum has stands showing the location of sanctuaries in Kazakhstan and the map of the Almaty Nature Reserves. 3 more stands tell about the 3 main focal points of the reserve's activities: protection service, scientific work, and spreading the knowledge about nature. The museum has over 3,000 exhibits. It is greatly valued for providing information on the biological diversity of local nature. Here you can see the mountain dwellers of the Transilya-Altai, the snow leopard, bear, wolf, wild boar, roe deer, and mountain goats. Also, there are the desert inhabitants, the saiga, kolan, and the Persian gazelle. There are lots of different types of birds: the golden eagle, steppe eagle, bearded vulture, griffon vulture, and the eagle owl. There are tropical and local types of butterflies, bugs, spiders, and stands with rare medicinal and poisonous plants. More than 200 kinds of mushrooms, mosses, lichen, nests of birds, and insects. Here the visitors see for themselves that the Almaty region is unique in its biological diversity. Almost all the natural zones that are common for the Northern Hemisphere can be found in this relatively small area. The desert and semi-desert areas are replaced by steppes, which transform into mountains, leafed, mixed, and pine forests. The alpine meadows remind of the tundra, and at the height of 3,500 meters, the mountains have a zone of eternal ice and snow. During the exhibition, the visitors get to know about the flora and fauna of the whole region, starting from the flatland sand deserts and up to the high elevation rocks and glaciers. After an excursion at the museum, the visitors get the basic theoretical knowledge, which is later entrenched further during the excursions across the ecological paths. Establishment of a nature reserve is the strictest form of natural protection, so the visitors are required to pay special attention to their interaction with nature whilst moving along the routes. The ecological paths were marked out in a way so as to minimize the negative impact of visitors on the natural biosynosis of the reserve. 3 ecological paths, Jibek, the left and the right TALGAR, each around 10 kilometers long, allow the visitors to witness the beauty of nature. Each path entails a one-day trip. The Almaty State Reserve has no recreation areas or mass ecotourism. Therefore, the ecological paths are used for educational and scientific excursions. The Almaty Natural Reserve was first established in 1931 in the small Almaty Gorge on an area of 13,000 hectares. In February of 1935, its area was 600,000 hectares, and it was given the status of a state reserve. In 1940, its area reached around 1 million hectares. In the years after the war, the reserve's territory started to shrink, and in September of 1951, it was liquidated. The second time that the reserve was established was in 1961 in the Chilik and Kagan districts of the Almaty region on an area of 128,000 hectares. Today, the Almaty State Nature Reserve is located in the southeastern part of the TALGAR district of the Almaty region, in the central part of the Translila Gorge, within the range of heights of 1,200 to 5,000 meters above sea level. The total area of the nature reserve is 71,700 hectares. Its length from north to south is 31 kilometers, from west to east 34 kilometers. The highest peak in the mountain range is the TALGAR Peak. It reaches a height of 4,978.8 meters above sea level. The high elevation part of the land is covered by the TALGAR mountain glaciation region, where the rivers TALGAR, Jibek, and Chilik start, providing fresh water to the area's species population. The nature of the reserve is unique due to its mountainous landscape. Here you can see the meadow steppe zone at heights from 1,400 to 2,600 meters. The leafed forests are located on the northern slopes, at heights from 1,200 to 1,600 meters. Shrank spruce trees dominate from 1,600 to 2,800 meters. The alpine and subalpine zones are located at the heights of 2,600 to 3,200 meters. The glacial and nival zone is located over 3,200 meters above sea level. The reserve has 960 types of higher vascular plants. They include 13 kinds of tree species, 63 bushes, 3 lianas, 79 annual, 50 biennial, and 712 types of perennial plants. The animal world includes 177 types of bird species. The Red Book of Kazakhstan includes 9 types, including the Barbary falcon and the ibisbill, which are found only in the reserve. Also the golden eagle, bearded vulture, Himalayan griffin, and others. 39 types of mammals live here: elk, roe deer, wild boar, wolf, and others. And 4 types are included into the Red Book: snow leopard, the Tian Shan brown bear, rock marten, and the Turkestan lynx. There are also 5 kinds of reptiles: the copperhead snake, Dion snake, Altayan lidless skink, and others. Each mountain region has its own flair. Each has its own peak. Therefore, the Transilli Range, being part of the northern group of the Tian Shan mountain ranges, is associated with its highest point, the Talgar Peak, 5,017 meters above sea level. This peak is the northernmost 5,000er in Asia. The largest glacier of the Transilli Alatau slides down the southern slopes of the Talgar Massif, the Korzenievsky Glacier, which is around 12 kilometers long. The snow border on the northern slopes is located at the heights of about 3,700 to 3,900 meters. The climate is very distinct from the extremely continental dry climate of the flatlands, which is an advantage. At high elevations, winter sets in the second half of October. Dry snow falls in November, January, and February at low temperatures, and it is easily blown off into the valleys by the wind. At this time, the snow cover on the glaciers and peaks is small in size. In March, April, and May, the picture rapidly changes. It is the time when snow falls at much lower temperatures, and the wetter snow accumulates at higher elevations, covering the glaciers with a thicker layer that stays until mid-June. The three-head massif of the Talgar Peak can be easily distinguished between the surrounding peaks, so it's no wonder the scientists noticed this mountain back in the middle of the 19th century. The well-known confusion concerning the region's orography and identification of peaks during their approach from north and south prevented the successful completion of this mountain conquest. Only in 1935 the group of Rahimov got closer to the Talgar Peak, climbing from the north onto the shoulder of the massif, and named the place that they reached Koper. In the winter of the same year, 12 Almaty mountaineers climbed the southwestern peak. In February of 1938, a group from Novosibirsk climbed the northern peak, 5,000 meters in height. In 1938, a group from the Siberian city of Stalinsk was the first to climb to the very top of the peak Talgar, 5,017 meters in height. They climbed over the northern top, and in 1940, this massif was traversed by mountaineers from the northeast to the southeast. After the paths to the main tops were covered, the search for more complicated routes was started. Such routes include the interesting, very beautiful path along the western side to the northern peak. In 1955, the traverse of the Talgar Horseshoe was completed, which included 12 peaks. The peaks Karaul-Chatau, Chekist, Aktau, Talgar, Koper, and Metallurg make up a single junction. The Talgar area has become popular among mountain climbers since the very beginning of its exploration in 1939 in the gorge of the Mid-Talgar River. The mountaineer camp, initially called Metallurg and later renamed to Talgar, was located 9 kilometers from the river's bed. The camp existed almost until 1990. Over this period, 11 routes were trodden to the peak Talgar, not counting the very beautiful and diverse paths to the nearest peaks. Over a period from 1992 until 2003, the Talgar area was rarely visited by mountaineers, perhaps because of the difficulties with accessing the Almaty Reserve, or because of the relative remoteness from the road. Now the interest has again picked up towards this beautiful region, and all the more so as the process of obtaining permits to access the Almaty Reserve was simplified. And 9 kilometers from the end of the road to the spot where the mountaineer camp used to be is not that big of a distance and can be covered in 5 to 6 hours. The nature of the Tian Shan Range astounds all with its amazing beauty, contrast, brightness, richness, and unique flora. This is a treasure that we have to preserve for the future generations, just as it was passed on to us from our ancestors.